All right, here we go. So, this is the video from Unreal Engine. This is their YouTube channel. And this is their Unreal Engine 5 reveal announcement. So we're gonna take a look at this. It's not safe for work memes. Yeah, because we got tons of those around here. You know, we got candles in apartments, which I'm not supposed to have. Shh. It's fine. I think the no candles rule is meant for like the candlesticks that like people can knock over and then set their table on fire with, not the ones that are inside of a glass jar. Good music is gone. You can be back now. Why do you leave when the good music comes up? Anyways, back to the tech demo. So this is Unreal Engine 5 coming 2021 is when it's going to be released. And this is a tech demo, all right? This is just a demo. This is not a full release. This is still technically beta, maybe even alpha, possibly. I'm not sure how far along they are in the process. But this is running on a PlayStation 5, guys, all right? This is not a high-end PC. This is not like next generation NVIDIA graphics card 30 RTX 30 series, which, by the way, NVIDIA having their keynote announcements talk tomorrow to announce the next generation of their graphics cards. So keep an eye out for that, because that's going to be cool. No, this is a PlayStation 5. So yes, it is a next generation console, but it is not a 2080 Ti or a 3080 Ti or a Titan RTX or anything like that running on, you know, some bleeding edge Intel, you know, i9 10900X CPU, blah, blah, blah. No, this is a console, all right? And this is what it looks like. So we're going to get an introduction to these guys first. Also,
Hello.
We're going to up this.
Hello, I'm Brian Karras, Technical Director of Graphics here at Epic Games.
So we get...
Hi, I'm Jerome Plateau, Art Director of the Spatial project.
A few years ago, we got together as a team
Then
and
let me know about the
brainstormed where
audio.
we thought we could push forward the state-of-the-art in real-time graphics. There were two key areas that stood out. The first, dynamic global illumination. Beautiful bounce lighting, instantaneously.
I don't have to be constrained to do.
Okay, so global illumination is similar to ray tracing. So here, let's where's my, hold on, where's my other document? No, stop. Where's my other document? Here we go. So here's the Wikipedia page on global illumination. So global illumination can actually be made up of several different types of illumination algorithms or lighting physics and stuff like that. So two of them, which most people by now should be somewhat familiar with the terms, ray tracing and path tracing. Okay, so global illumination is basically just like, it can be a combination of multiple different types of ray tracing, path tracing, basically light physics and how to actually illuminate an environment or an object or something like that. It's very it's very heavy on costs, like performance-wise. It takes a lot of processing power to do global illumination properly. It's not very fast. Global illumination is stuff that like CG artists, Disney, Pixar use, any animated like feature film. They're going to use a bunch of different combinations of these things right here that you can see. So radiosity, ray tracing, beam tracing, cone tracing, path tracing, metropolis light transport, ambient occlusion, photon mapping, and image-based lighting. All right, all of these things can be combined or used to help with global illumination. Okay, global illumination is extremely expensive when it comes to processing power. All right, and that's what they're talking about here. Okay, this is global illumination in real time, running on a PlayStation 5 on the brand new Unreal Engine 5 game
Hello,
engine.
I'm Brian Karras,
All right, so
Technical
keep that in
Director of
mind.
Graphics here at Epic Games.
Hi, I'm Jerome Plateau, Art Director of the Spatial project.
A few years ago, we got together as a team and brainstormed where we thought we could push forward the state-of-the-art in real-time graphics. There were two key areas that stood out. The first, dynamic global illumination. Beautiful bounce lighting, instantaneously.
I don't have to be constrained to do a game where the world has to be static, and I'm able to iterate a lot faster.
This is why the captions are on. I don't normally watch with captions, but I find it very hard to understand the French guy. I don't remember his name. So I turned captions on for both my benefit and for yours. Also, Fear Factor and Sushi. I don't know if you guys noticed, but you both now are VIPs in my channel. So have at it, y'all. I haven't actually set up any special permissions for VIPs yet, but there you go.
And we call this new system Lumen. And we're about to show you what it is capable of. But first, there was another area that we thought we could push forward, truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts, draw calls, or memory. We could directly use film quality assets and bring them straight into the engine.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model, my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit frame rate.
In the end, that's what it's all about. Art that just works. And we call this new technology Nanite. Here is the future of Unreal Engine running live on a PlayStation 5.
Okay, so they're introducing specifically two new things in Unreal Engine 5 in this tech demo. All right, the first one is Lumen, which is their brand new physics light simulation, physics-based light simulation. So global illumination to light an entire environment, and then Nanite, which is basically like a new way of rendering 3D models, or not. It's not a new way, but it's just the way that they've implemented it is completely new and very revolutionary in what it's capable of. All right, so veggie in pale. There you go. So, and they'll get more into the details as we go, but those are the two things that they're demoing. So those are the two things that you should be looking at. All right. I can tell you right now, CAD data can be an absolute nightmare. You don't know anything about the rest of what he mentioned, but you know that. Yes. So, and ZBrush is probably one of the, if not the most, it is one of the most common 3D modeling, painting, texturing pieces of software out there. Like tons of character modelers, environment designers, level designers, they use ZBrush. And you can, it's literally just drawing like environments and characters and clothing and stuff like that. Extremely high detail, millions upon millions of polygons. And they'll actually, they're going to show an example of one of those later in the video. And I'll pause it again and bring that back up. But the fact that you can have millions upon millions of polygons on a single object on the screen at one time and it not impact frame rate the way that it does today is insane. So
Awesome. Let's take a look at it.
This has to be the right way.
Before we continue, let's stop a moment and take a look at some of the key features of this demo. Much of what you see was built with Quixel Megascan assets, but instead of using the game versions, we used the cinematic versions, which would typically only be used in film.
okay, so for those of you who don't know what Quixel Megascans are, they are probably the most prominent actual yeah, the word I was about to use is very redundant. Basically what Quixel does is they go out to real life objects in the world. In this case, like, look at this, these are rocks. Okay, so what they would have done is they would have taken some very expensive high resolution cameras, gone out to like a quarry or a dirt pile, and they take thousands of pictures of just like one rock. All right. And then they take all these pictures and stitch them all together and get a complete, almost 100% accurate, physically based 3D model based off of these pictures. And then they take that data and they're just like, here's a rock, or here's a tree, or here's a leaf, here's a bird feather, like stuff like that. And they're almost indistinguishable from the actual thing when they're implemented properly. So if we go back right here, so he says, but instead of using the game versions, we use the cinematic versions, which should typically only be used in film. So in the game version, if you ever use the game version of a Quixel Megascan, it's a cut down version. It has less detail. It has fewer polygons. There's a couple other differences, but the main thing is the reason why it's smaller in data size is because usually you have to load all of this data into memory, which becomes a massive issue when you have environments the size of what they were just showing. You can't just put a almost 100% physically accurate model of hundreds of thousands of rocks into a scene and not expect your frame rate to like tank below 1 FPS. Like, it's just not going to happen, which is why he's calling this out here. This is usually only used in film because they can render a single frame over the course of like hours or even days sometimes in order to get this level of detail. And this is running in real time on a PlayStation 5. It's crazy, all right? We're going to keep going.
There are around 1 million triangles each. And thanks to virtual texturing, they all use 8K textures as well. Nanite can render an insane number of triangles very quickly. There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles. What does that many triangles look like? This isn't noise. These are the triangles, each a different color. Most are so small that they look like noise. Nanite achieves detail down to the pixel, which means triangles are often the size of pixels.
So one other thing that I got from a different YouTube video that I watched is that comment right there. Triangles are often the size of pixels. So the technology that they're using, or the way that they implemented it, for the most part, it's going to be a 1-to-1 ratio of triangles to pixels. So one triangle or polygon per pixel being rendered on the screen at a time. So every single pixel that's shown on your monitor is going to have its very own triangle or piece of detail of an object. No more triangles, spread across chunks of your monitor for like, a wall or something, which might only be like a wall these days might only be like a few dozen to a couple hundred triangles or polygons, but now you could have a wall that's millions of polygons. But it won't show all of those. They'll all be there. It's just, you can, because your monitor only has a certain number of pixels, it's just like, oh, I'm just going to take this one triangle and put it on this one pixel instead of only doing a few dozen for this giant chunk of your screen. So yeah, 1-to-1 polygon or triangle to pixel ratio.
This amount of geometric detail requires shadows to be pixel accurate as well, and Nanite can do that too.
An 800 by 480 image, 800 by 480 image is something like just over 400,000 pixels. So that's a lot of pixels. So that's just an 800 by 480. Imagine a 2K monitor, 2160 by 1440. I don't know what the math is on that. Let's grab the calculator quick and check that out. 2160 times 1440. That's 3.1 million pixels on a 2K monitor, which is what I have. Every single one of those is going to have a polygon in it.
Speaking of lighting, all of the lighting in this demo is completely dynamic, with the power of Lumen that even includes multi-bounce global illumination. No light maps, no baking here. Without GI, all of that beautiful lighting is gone.
Okay, so right now they're showing what direct illumination looks like in a video game. So basically you have your light source, which in this case is the sun. And, oh, this way. Sorry, my camera is reversed from how I'm viewing it on the screen. You've got the light source right here, the sun coming down through the hole in the ceiling, all right? And everything that you see there is direct illumination. So basically, everything that the sun is directly hitting and nothing else. There's no light bouncing like it would in the real world or anything like that. Come on. Go back. Sorry, I'm going back frame by frame here. Oh my gosh. Here we go. So this is with global illumination. So this is what ray tracing and path tracing are capable of. So this is what like NVIDIA RTX cards can do right now. Again, their next generation of ray tracing, real-time ray tracing compatible or whatever cards, live announcement tomorrow. AMD is also launching ray tracing capable cards this year. We don't have a date on when they're going to do that. Just they have said, hey, this year, so that'll be cool. But this is what that looks like. But this isn't running on, well, it kind of is running on a ray tracing compatible graphics chip because it is on a PlayStation 5, but it's a low-end chip. This is a low-end chip, but this is a high-res environment with, I'm going to say, at least 3 bounces. What that means is every pixel or every ray from the sun that's coming down into here, through the ceiling is going to bounce around the environment at least 3 times before entering the camera port, which is what we're seeing now. It's just insane. That's how you get all of this extra level of detail.
With Lumen enabled, we can move the light and the bounce changes instantly. Okay, let's keep going.
That's so computationally expensive. It boggles my mind that they're running this on a console.
We've made some great additions to our audio system as well. Convolution reverb allows us to measure reverberation characteristics of real spaces, like actual caves that we sampled, and reproduce them in virtual spaces. Sound field rendering allows us to record and play back spatialized audio. All of this adds up to a more immersive experience.
So I don't know what sound system you guys are listening on, but in my headphones, like I can hear where the rocks are bouncing because it's all spatial audio, which uses the same exact technology and algorithms that ray tracing does. So global illumination and ray tracing, you can apply that directly to sound with almost like minimal, if any, changes whatsoever. Because sound in reality, like in real life, bounces exactly like light does, just slower. Instead of at the speed of light, it's like, depending on what elevation you're at, like anywhere from like 650 miles per hour all the way up to like 800 or 900 miles per hour, something like that. So you can hear it in your surround sound. It's sweet, yeah. So yeah, so basically you just adjust the speed at which that stuff bounces around the environment, but the algorithms are the same, which is pretty neat. So now we have spatial surround sound because now we have real-time physics-based light rendering. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. Let me try to pause it on another. Look at her hair. This has nothing to do with the tech demo. It's more of just Unreal Engine itself. Like, Unreal Engine has been really good with cloth and hair relatively relative to a lot of other game engines, but like look at the detail on the cloth that's like wrapped around her ponytail. It looks fuzzy, not because the current image is blurry, which it is, but it looks fuzzy because it's actually being rendered as fuzzy. It looks so good. I love it. Every time I see an Unreal Engine tech demo, I'm just blown away by the level of detail that they're able to put into everything that's on the screen.
This swarm of
Also, we're going to turn
bats
4K
was created
on
with a
because I can.
Niagara effects system. Particles in Niagara can now talk to one another and understand their environment like never before.
So that's another little side note, is they've made upgrades to the particle system, which is cool. So like, let's say you have like a fire or like a torch along a wall and it's emitting sparks or something like that. Or like you have wind blowing through the tunnel that you're in and you have a torch and the sparks are coming off. You'll no longer see sparks like maybe like pass through each other or clip through a wall or something like that. Like the sparks will actually flow around physical objects depending on how you have the environment set up, which is cool. Not the main part of this tech demo, but neat little detail.
We've also added a ton of new functionality to run fluid simulations like you see in the water below.
Here's a really good image of both the texturing and shadow mapping. So shadow mapping is related to global illumination, path tracing, ray tracing. So basically, path tracing, ray tracing for lighting is basically just where are all your light sources, how do they emit their light, what do they all bounce off of, and then what connections are there between the light source and your eye. Shadow mapping is where you also calculate where the light isn't and how the shadow is, or how the light is removed, because that's what a shadow is. It's the absence of light. So, and how is that going to look? And so on the rocks up here, with all these striations in the rocks, you can see the shadows that are being calculated at the same exact time as the rest of the lighting is. And shadow mapping is actually it's almost as expensive as just ray tracing by itself. So this right here looks really good. The YouTube compression is kind of killing it for me. So I wish Unreal Engine had like a raw video out there somewhere that we could go look at without all of this loss in quality due to YouTube's compression. But you can see the level of detail in the shadows there. And these are very harsh shadows, which is accurate in how that would look. And then look at this rock right here. Look at the deep. Look how the shadow gets darker as you get deeper into the crevice. Same thing with over here. You can see, like, that looks so real. Like, it looks like I'm standing on the side of this cliff. It's strange now that the environment looks more real than the character. Like, I'm not used to seeing stuff like that. Like, usually, like, the character has a lot more detail than the environment, but this just looks so good. This environment looks real. It's unreal. Woohoo.
The demo runs on our chaos physics system. Here we are using it to accurately simulate the rigid bodies of the falling rocks and the cloth of her scarf.
This is one thing that I have a complaint about, but this is more in character design and the 3D modelers of the characters and not of the Unreal Engine or any game engine at all. But I want you to watch her scarf. And notice how her scarf is not actually attached to anything. But it doesn't fall forward off her shoulder. I know for a fact that if anybody were to actually wear a scarf like that, it would fall in front of their shoulder
Now that the
constantly,
environment is so complex,
all the
we needed
time.
to greatly improve our animation.
Every time I see that in a game, it bugs the hell out of me. I'm just like, why you do this? This drives me nuts. But yeah, that's a character design thing that has nothing to do with the game
systems to
engine.
adapt. We've added predictive foot placement and motion warping, which dynamically modifies IK and body position to look more natural. For the character to more realistically interact with the environment, we've added the ability to trigger seamless contextual animation events, like her hand on the door.
Looks promising.
Here's another really good shot of her hair in how it looks fuzzy. Like, hair should look like that.
Dynamic GI is amazing, not just for speeding up iteration, but also for its impact on gameplay.
Nice.
Any light
Looks
source can move while
it
still
might
having
be.
beautiful bounce lighting. Dynamic illumination means specular as well, which you can see on all the metal surfaces. You can even see the Niagara-powered bugs reacting to the light. Lumen not only reacts...
Niagara is, again, their fluid simulator? Either their fluid simulator or their physics simulator. I think it's their fluid
to
simulator.
moving light sources, but also changes in geometry. Remember we mentioned high poly asset?
Okay, so this is where we're going to get into the part about importing directly, like CAD files, ZBrush, original lossless 3D models with all of their texture and everything included. This is where it gets cool. So this is the nanite technology. So remember they talked about two technologies at the start of the video, Lumen, which we've been discussing for the first half of this video. Now we're getting into the nanite, which is the polygon section.
This statue was imported directly from ZBrush and is more than 33 million triangles. No baking of normal maps, no authored LODs.
Look at how crystal clear every single texture is on this statue. Look at his chest piece right here. Look at this. You can see. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I can see it on mine. Even with the YouTube compression, you can see chips, tiny chips and weathering on his belly chest piece thing here. You can see the shadows that are being cast due to the weathering on it. You can see her light, the little orb of light. Yeah, that statue's boggling your mind. Yeah, you can see the light coming up from her little orb in her hand, coming up onto the shield that he's holding, which gives you a contrast between the sunlight from above and the blue light below, and you can see all the tiny little details, the scratches. Like you can see chisel marks in this thing. The only reason why this is possible is, like, normally today it would be very taxing on a system in order to render all of that. You would have to use shoot, I'm totally blanking on the word. Tessellation. So right now they use something called tessellation in modern rasterized graphics rendering. All right. So basically what that means is you have, like, let's say you have a wall, but you want it to be a brick wall. Now you have, the best way to do it is to fully render every brick, all of the pits and cracks and points and edges and everything on every single brick for the entire wall, and all of the mortar that goes in between it, and the gaps between the mortar and the brick, and like all of this other stuff. All right, but that would be tens of millions of polygons, and then you would have to store all of that somewhere, and then you would have to import all of that data into the graphics card or into the memory that's on the graphics card. Every time the player like looked at that wall, it would have to call all that data and transfer it over. And that could be like gigabytes worth of data. Okay? So what they do in modern day rasterized graphics is they'll just have a flat wall. All right? It'll just be a flat plane for the most part. It could have some extra, polygons in it to give it a little bit of extra curvature or bumps. But then they have this thing called a bump map. All right, and a bump map is basically like if you were to look at it with just the bump map with your eyes, what you would see is just a black and white image that would sort of look like what you're trying to display. But what the bump map does is basically just a gradient from white to black, and depending on how you implement it, like black could be high or white could be high. And basically, like, let's say white is high and black is low, so black will be like pure black will be flat plane directly on whatever the surface of the object that you're placing it on top of. All right, so which in this case it would be the wall. All right, and then every time it gets above black, depending on the gradient between black and pure white, that's going to be a certain height that it's going to be off the wall. So whenever you look at a wall in a game, like a modern day game, you're not actually seeing a fully rendered, modeled brick wall. What you're seeing is a flat plane that has a bump map applied to it. And then the graphics card and all of the math behind it, there's just a bump map. And it's like, oh, this section right here is going to be rendered to look like it's higher than the area around it, which in this case would be the mortar around the brick. Okay? That's not what this is doing here. This is a fully modeled statue. There is no bump maps here. There is no, nothing like that. This is just the straight up 3D model that somebody went into ZBrush and they spent probably a couple hundred hours, at least 100 I would say, to model this entire thing in ZBrush. And then the sad thing is, in rasterized graphics, you would have to import that, compress it, put levels of detail into it, and levels of detail are LODs. Basically, like, depending on how close or far away you are from an object, it'll only display a certain level of detail of that object. So the further away you got from this statue, if she were to like back up down the hallway while looking at it, you would see like polygons slowly disappear or fade out as it slowly reduced to polygon count, because it's further away, so it doesn't need to render as many. Like, it makes a lot of sense. It's just a way to save processing power, because it's not rendering the full density of all the polygons in every object in a scene at the entire time. But this is not using bump maps, as far as I'm aware. This is the fully rendered 3D model with all the textures applied to it.
And we can...
That statue, he said, was 33 million polygons. All right? 33 million triangles for that one statue. Plus the character model, plus the background and the rest of the environment is still all being rendered. Okay? Don't forget about that. All of that is being rendered live in real time on a console, which is amazing. And that was one statue.
do more than a single statue. There are nearly 500 of that exact statue at the same detail level placed in this room, for a total of over 16 billion triangles from statues alone.
16 billion triangles!
Over this entire demo, there are hundreds of billions of triangles.
Oh my gosh. Look at that pedestal! It's over 9,000. Yes, exactly.
So
But look
with
at this
Nana,
pedestal!
you have limitless geometry, and with Lumen, you have fully dynamic lighting and global illumination, all running.
Watch this. Okay, so this is going back to my explanation of global illumination and basically like how light bounces. So right now there's too much of a sun flare, you know, God rate going on for us to be able to see. But watch closely this section right here of the image.
You have fully dynamic lighting.
Look at that. That light, that's not That light is not being artificially created. You can now see the texture and the image that's on the ceiling of this room, because the game, the console and the game engine are physically rendering the light coming in from the ceiling, bouncing off the floor, going back up to the ceiling, bouncing off the ceiling, and then entering the viewport of the camera. That's a minimum of 3 bounces. 3 for every single pixel on the screen, which for a 2K monitor is 3.1 million pixels times 3. That's a minimum. What's 3.1 million times? So 9,331,200 rays / bounces off of every object in the environment. And that's bare minimum. This is how good Cyberpunk looks on next gen. You'll actually die. Just have a brain aneurysm because of how insanely good it looks. Yeah. The amount, like, I can't even. I'm having a extremely hard time explaining how much graphical processing power it takes to do bounce lighting, like actual global illumination, path, ray tracing, whatever you want to call it. It's insane. And this is a minimum of 3 bounces. Like, I would not be surprised right now with how much detail I'm seeing in this particular still image if there's 4, maybe even 5 bounces going on. They did say earlier in the video that you can have an infinite number of bounces. I wonder, like, how many bounces you can get to before, like, your computer starts on fire. But I'd like for them to answer, like, test that out and then answer my question. That'd be cool. But yeah, no, this is insane. This is amazing.
And global illumination, all running on a PlayStation 5.
PlayStation 5. 33 million triangles per statue for a total of 16 billion in this scene. On a PlayStation.
There's not much time left.
And this doesn't need to be constrained to small rooms. It can stretch all the way to the horizon.
Oh boy. Back in my day, we had 5 pixels and we liked it.
Don't fail me now.
Look at the reflection of the portal gate in her eyes. Look at it! You can't do that! You can't do that on current gen stuff. You can see the portal in her eyes. Sorry, I'm just like, oh man. The shadow on her arm, because her what is that, a pauldron? Whatever it's called, is blocking the light from the gate, and so you get this arc of blue light on her arm because it's being physically rendered in real time. What the heck? Looks like freaking Stargate. It does. Dude, I love Stargate SG-1, man. Stargate SG-1 was my jam. Also, I want whatever this is to be a real game because it looks
Time to see
super
what's
cool.
next.
I want to know the lore of this girl and whatever she just stole from that temple. I want to know. Unreal Engine 5 coming 2021. And that there, folks, is the Unreal Engine 5 tech demo that was released today. And that's literally only showing off two main things. Their new global illumination engine or module and the nanite technology. So God of War 5 on that, please? Yes. Like, it's just crazy, dude. Oh my gosh. It looks... I can't wait. I can't wait to see what people make with this. So don't expect this. This is coming 2021, all right? That means that's when this game engine is going to be released, 2021. And, excuse me, developing a game takes bare minimum a year, like a AAA title. Bare minimum, all right? Don't expect to see anybody actually using this in a AAA game for probably, I would say, at least 2023. It depends on when it comes out in 2021. Like if it's January 2021, maybe even up to like April or May, you might see it 2022. If it's after that, don't expect to see anything until 2023. There's not going to be any AAA titles running on Unreal Engine 5 until at least late 2022 or early 2023. You can wait for that. I can wait for that, and I will wait for that, because I have to wait for that, but I don't want to wait for that. I want it now. And remember, so this is my point about you have to wait until 2022 or 23 because this doesn't come out until 21. This doesn't come out until 21. We have bare minimum 7 months of more development into this system before it's released. This is beta, possibly alpha. Again, I don't know the behind the scenes stuff to like give a whole lot of insight onto like how far into development they are. But like, if this is beta and they still got minimum 7 more months of development, like, I can't wait until next year when they release the full-fledged Unreal Engine 5 full tech demo for the 5.0 launch of Unreal Engine 5. It's gonna be incredible. I cannot wait to see what they come out with. The Unreal Engine team, this is where you have to give Epic Games credit. Their game store may be somewhat of a sham, and their customer experience may not be the most highly reputed in the industry. However, their care and dedication for their game engine that they offer to everybody for free. You can download Unreal Engine for free and develop anything you want with it, post it online, and sell it for up to $100,000 worth of profit before they will charge you a single cent in royalties. This is free up to $100,000 in profit. Gross profit, not net. But still. Or I should say gross sales. But yeah, that's insane. It's free. And they're just like, here you go, guys. You want ray tracing? We got ray tracing. You want 3D audio spatial surround sound? Here you go, there it is. You want better physics engines? Cool, we got that too. You want fluid sims that are better than most other game engines on the market that you have to pay like tens of thousands in licensing fees for? Yeah, we got that. We also got cookies. Oh my gosh, man. It's cray-cray. It's cray-cray. It's nuts. I gotta pee.